does correcting the narrative mean? It is a bit of semantics. I never-ending have people that will say changing the narrative about our event, and that's just how it is in the mind, right? So why don't we say changing the narrative? The reason why we say correcting is because changing is subjective. Changing is like clothes and a diet, right? You can change that one day, you can change it again the next day, but correcting is math. And the fact that people who have criminal records are not what society has largely thought for so long, that's a math equation, right? That there's nothing that you can disagree with on that. It's a fact. We are not what the fear, pity, and spectacle narratives, by and large, make us look like. And so what we have tonight is a variety of stories demonstrating that, but we have more than stories demonstrating people that have criminal records and who we are and showcasing our successes, humanity, and agency. We have a wide array of people that are impacted by the system here tonight being honored and coming together. We have crime survivors, and we have systems folks that are also in part of this, right? So this can't be a situation where people that have a criminal record are looked at as just complaining about what has happened to us and the plight and the way we got to where we were incarcerated. It has to be a sense of everyone coming together. And so in a bit, you will hear from Claude Motley. He is a well-known advocate for victims' rights and is a fantastic story, Emmy-winning documentary. And he can talk about the fact that there was a crime committed, right? Very serious incident, a lot of harm. We have to acknowledge that and honor that and move together forward for a solution. We're also here because you don't oftentimes see, I think, a lot of folks that are in this room together. You have Republicans, you have Democrats, you have a lot of people from the DOC, you have police officers and judges serving food. You have a lot of formerly incarcerated people. You have currently incarcerated people represented in the artwork and in the Flick Shop photo booth, which is over there. So if you want to take a chance and see that, you can send a message along with a picture to anyone really incarcerated across the country, right? It's a pretty novel idea that they have, so Marcus is over there in the corner with that if you want to participate in that. But we have a lot of symbolism as well in the event. If you look in the booklet, there's not a booklet for each person because what we discovered is that people just leave them. So I decided we're just not going to get a booklet for each person because you're just wasting our money. So we're going to get 4, and you can share that booklet and read it. And there's also a QR code that we will have for the booklet afterwards if you want to read it. But in there's a bunch of aspects that talk about some of the symbolism. So these pendants that are up here right now, I'm pretty proud of the pendants. It's not an easy thing to have a custom pendant for every single honoree based off their story and what their name means in their journey of healing. And so each one of these has a picture, and it's in the booklet. You can see what it is, and it depicts just who this person is now and how their journey through healing is represented in one image. So they can have that as a necklace. They can wear it just like this on their mantle if they want to. But I think that's a really, I don't know, I think it's a pretty cool part of our event. We also have the tables representing ancient wisdom with some of the books and the flowers that to me look kind of, old school. We have these sashes that everyone will have on that says, I represent millions. All of the honorees coming up will have those, demonstrating they represent one of a million people that are a success story, that are connected to the system. The organization, the community, we do a few things beyond just highlighting the success stories. We do a lot of work in the prison as well. We started out as an organization doing work in the prison system. We call that our pre-entry work. We were able to hire recently a full-time pre-entry manager, Robert, who's here tonight. He will introduce one of the honorees tonight, actually. So what we're doing between those is we have better opportunities meeting greater preparation, right, so that you have greater stability and healing in the community. But the part I think we've been known for more so is the correcting the narrative work that we do. And that's not a bad thing. I think narrative work and storytelling is a huge component that we overlook because at the end of the day, the policies we have, the laws and the way that they are implemented, the way people hire, the way people will rent to folks, it's based on a narrative. It's based on, in our minds, how we see individuals that have criminal records. It's not based on facts, it's not based on reality, it's not based on any actual data or historical trends, it's based on just what we think, what we feel, how people have made us believe a person with a record needs to be treated. And so it all starts at that story, that narrative we have about ourselves, those of us that have records, do we believe we're worthy? And it starts with the narrative we have about other people. So we need to start telling more accurate, honest, and positive stories, and we'll get that same result in society. So the first person coming up, like I mentioned, is going to be Claude Motley. I want to give out a couple thank yous. A great thank you to my board. We have 2 people rolling off of our board. Anyone who has a nonprofit, I think, should know that You're only as good as your board is, so I'm very grateful to have a very active and a board that tolerates my chaos, which I think I need to kind of get in order, if anyone knows me. And so thank you to Peter Borg and to Ryan Ramnerates who are rolling off this year on our board. I want to thank massively the people that have helped out tonight to get this in order. I think by the end of the night, you will forget about the long line, and you will be happy with the positive stories you saw and the way you were touched. And I'm going to pass this off now to Claude, and I'm very grateful, Claude, for you joining us tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claude Motley. I'm a survivor. My story was documented in the movie When Claude Got Shot. And the thing what happened was in 2014, June of 2014, I was shot in the face in an attempted carjacking. The young man who shot me was 15 years old. His name was Nathan. 2 days later, he was shot in an attempted carjacking by a young lady named Victoria. After that, we were thrust into the criminal justice system. At that point in time, this slide is about a picture of me about maybe after my second surgery. I ended up getting about more than 10 surgeries on my jaw because of the shooting. And this is Mad Me. Let me correct that. There's a lot of versions of Mad Me. This is Mad Me on TV. I just wanted to say that's just the interview that I had on. And the concept of that was I really wanted Milwaukee to see the frustration and the damage that's done by gun violence. As we know, for every person that is shot and killed by guns, 2 people receive non-violent injuries from guns. And those people have to live with that for the rest of their lives, that trauma, that devastation, and the mounting medical bills. And I just really wanted Milwaukee to understand the urgency and the need to address the problem that we were seeing in the city. But that whole thing, going through that process, I went from Angry Me and I had a journey because I'm born and raised here in Milwaukee and I love Milwaukee. Always love the people, I got family here. I really wanted more. And I understood that once I had some security in myself that the situation is bigger than just me and my anger and frustration, but we're talking about a community. And so at that point in time, I was able, after we went through the judicial process, Nathan got sentenced. I had a chance to actually meet Nathan. And we had a restorative justice practice, which is called conferencing. And I was able to sit down with them and ask them, why? And I really, really wanted to know, what sent him down that path. And what I realized is that Nathan was a lot like me. He lived in the same city as me. He grew up here. He grew up in the school system that I went to. He had a lot of examples. The only difference between me and Nathan was sometimes he went right, I went left. Sometimes he said yes when I said no. And that's how easy it is. That's how easy it is to get caught up in situations. And that's what we're trying to do with our impact campaign after the film. We were trying to make sure that people understood how easy and all the contributing factors that go into what gun violence is and an understanding of that process. And it's not just about the violent act, but it's about the ripple effects that's coming in and the ripple effects that comes out. I did not put this up here so you all can see me holding the Emmy that we won. I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that for the film. But I did tell you, one of my mantras that I really grew up with, I tell my kids this all the time, is that what you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back. And we definitely had a mission when we did the documentary, and I think that we were rewarded with the Emmy, and so we were very proud of that. But also, when I was coming up here, I was reading the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. And one thing she said in that was, for a movement to be successful, it must attack the public consciousness of the powers that enforce it. And that's what we have to do. We have to, when I went through this process, I wanted to be the change that I always talked about. I wanted to be the example. I wanted to show that there's another way to think about things, another way to think about survivors. There's another way to think of victims, and there's another way to think of perpetrators. And we always have to change that narrative. And so today I'm here recognizing a person who I say is one of the OGs of changing that narrative. Her name is Christina Paris, and I think that she has an interview that we're going to go ahead and see.
Well, I was really honored to accept an award from an organization that supports people with a criminal record, because I feel like you are respecting and appreciating my voice as a survivor. And that really made me feel really, really great. Anytime this kind of a thing happens, to me it shines a light on the things that need to be done in our community. Well, as a survivor of a robbery and a rape, I think society needs to recognize I went through a trauma, and it's not over, even though it happened many, many years ago. I will never be the same person. But I'm grateful for support groups. I also think that it's important that there not be judgment and blame. I think we just need to all be open and remember that we're all human beings. We all make mistakes, and we all deserve treatment and healing and just to live together in community. My incident took place a really long time ago. It was actually in 1990. And to get to the place of being accepting actually took place pretty quickly, because I was raised in a family that taught to respect and honor, all people's voices. So I'm really grateful for that. And I also worked at nonprofits that worked on peace and justice issues. Of course I'm human, and I was fearful after the assault, but I was very grateful quickly to kind of turn back because of my friends who are very diverse and spoke to me with open arms and a lot of love, a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding. I feel that I was really lucky in that way, and I met a lot of courageous people as a result of that situation. After my assault, I was part of the problem in one way because I was fearful. I tried to have compassion, and I think I always will to some degree, but on the other hand, I know that he did something very wrong. He took something from me that I can never get back, and that was wrong, and he needs to be accountable for that. I still struggle with that whole thing, and people have helped me deal with it as well. But one thing I'm really probably the most proud of, and that was the most difficult as a result of the aftermath of this, is that I was asked to speak at different correctional facilities. And there was a restorative justice program that they were running, and I spoke there numerous times. And one of the guys asked me, "Have you forgiven him?" And wow, that was something I hadn't really thought. And he really made me think. And it was just such an amazing dialogue for me. And I pretty much said, I don't need to forgive him. He never owned up to what he did. I know a lot of survivors of different crimes feel forgiveness is super important to them, and it helps them. I feel what I've done after my assault with my life's work has been my way of moving forward. I work for Wisconsin Anti-Violence Effort, which is a group that works nonstop to prevent gun violence. I've tried to do with my life whatever I could to make the world a better place. I was a survivor, and so to me, I just feel I need to do everything possible to make things better. So when Claude Motley nominated me, I really appreciate the work that he's doing. The fact that he spoke to the person that did shoot him That part in the movie was so powerful, and with all the gun violence out there in our community, unfortunately it's going to be something that we're going to need a lot more of, and thank goodness for people like him, for the organizations like yours who are honoring us today. We all are a part of it, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of that healing and the solution, because we do need each other to survive. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you so much, Claude. I want to thank the community for holding the 3rd annual Correcting the Narrative celebration. I hope I've done that with my life's work. I was working with WAVE for almost 30 years, and I just retired last month. But don't worry, I'm going to keep volunteering. So I believe firmly in volunteering and giving back to the community. I believe each one of us can make a difference when we use our heart and mind to reach our goals. Our actions do make a huge difference, and I also believe that if we work together, imagine all those pebbles dropping in, making a huge difference, a huge wave and a tide of change. So I really am grateful for this honor. I'm grateful to be amongst you this evening. Many of you I know are so courageous, kind, compassionate, and just thanks so much for having me here. Very grateful.
I was incarcerated for 2 years. I got out August 2018. What I'm accomplished now is, since I've been home, repaired a relationship with my children with the new mindset of where I'm supposed to be as a father and as a man overall. I'm employed as a carpenter now. I'm in a good spot as far as employment, utilizing still being able to make money on my own by working on cars as a side job to keep me, keep me busy. My biggest goal now is building financial independency for my children. I don't want my children to have to go through the same struggles I did when I was young. My father was murdered when I was 9 years old, and I never got over that. And he was, the way, he was murdered. So violence, I meditated on. I hated the people who murdered my father so much that I was slowly becoming the people who murdered my father. And when I looked at it and, being honest with myself, that I was grabbing on to all the characteristics of the people who murdered my father, that I possessed those characteristics. And it just made me appreciate life and just not just me, but somebody else. Somebody else deserved to feel safe. Somebody else deserved to feel love. No one deserved to feel fear or pain or abandonment. I don't feel no human being deserve that. I refuse to pass that kind of energy out. I've done it enough. Like, just focused on positivity and growth. When I met Vince, he was like everything that I thought a man couldn't even be. He cared about me when I didn't give him a reason to care about me. He was concerned about me when I had family members that wasn't concerned. And when he brought me into the kinship community, I realized it was more than just one person with a good heart. It was a community. These people that was complete strangers that I really sensed sincere, genuine. It was so, the concern for me was so genuine. I felt uncomfortable because it was something that I'm not used to receiving. So, and like, Vince saved my life. He reached out to me and offered me to get into the kinship program at a very, very low spot in my life. And I feel like I was drowning, and like Vince came and pulled me out. So kinship is like motivation. It's a confirmation that I'm on the right track, that is it. There are people I can surround myself with, and they will encourage me to be productive, to be strong enough to face the lies that I told myself about what my worth was and how people viewed me. And one thing I know, when people care about you, you tend to make better decisions when you feel like people don't care about you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vincent Noth, and I'm the director of a food center here on the north side called Kinship, formerly known as the River West Food Pantry. I met Michael in the pandemic. We had set up a sort of a drive-up crisis food situation, and we became friends. Our goal is to use food as a means of making relationships. But Kinship's philosophy is that you don't go to the margins to make a difference, but you go to the margins so that the people at the margins can make you different. And that's what happened in my life with Michael. Michael is someone who, you talk about admiring me, but Michael's someone that when he opens up his soul to you, that there's just so many treasures in this man's soul, and you can confine someone, you can put them in a cage, but Michael was able to really nurture what was inside of him. And so some of our kinship team is here today. Michael's employer is here today. And I'm so honored to be a part of your life. I'm so honored that you've allowed me into your life. And I'm so honored to give you this award tonight with the community and correcting the narrative.
Thank you. Thank you. One thing I always wanted to do is make my mother and my children proud of me. I really appreciate this. Today, my daughter's birthday. So it means a lot that she is able to see me in a positive light versus all the things I done left her to see as far as being in a negative light. So it means a lot that she's here. My boss, Jason, Vince, like you saved my life, and I just appreciate the time and the patience you put into me. And I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you.
All right, how y'all doing this evening? Are y'all kind of quiet in here now? How y'all doing this evening? All right, we got to make some noise up in here. Now for our next nominee, we have Dante Cunningham being selected by LAIP.
I was incarcerated for 27 years. I was released March 8th, 2022. One of the things I'm most happy to have accomplished is maturing, maturation. When I first went to prison, I was 17. So I grew up in prison, like from a juvenile to a man in prison, and facing a lot of the things that went on in my life, facing my own struggles and my own actions. As soon as I got out, I took some college courses. I was successful, and that began some momentum. I got self-confidence. I got belief in myself. And the more that I accomplished, the more classes and college courses that I took, including restorative justice. So maturing, gaining deep empathy for other people. And one of the things I am very proud of is my ability to reach out and to be an activist from inside prison. You get a spotlight on you. You become a public enemy #1 when you speak up and speak out on the inside. I didn't care. I knew what I was doing was correct. And part of that activism resulted in me hosting my own podcast from inside prison. I wanted to make sure the world knew how mass incarceration was infecting everybody involved. I would like to play a role in removing people that served their time, that checked all the boxes. I'm looking forward to playing a role in saving people from serving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years in prison. The Journal-Times and Racine did a story about on the front page of the Journal-Times. I talked to one of the brothers on the inside, and he said, this is what he said to me. I like to tear it up when he said it. He said he showed it to the officers that I knew. We were all in there together on the same unit. And he said, after he told me that, he showed it to the officer, that he read it. He said, Dante, thank you for showing these people what we is. Correcting the narrative to me is simply being in the position to articulate and to highlight my experiences as it relates to people's perspective. It feels awesome for this reason. I think it's so important for people to have for people to know that we are more than what we did. Hopefully my story is an example that someone can make a mistake when they're a teenager. They can do their time and they can come home and be effective They can come home with a good heart, with a good brain, with a good intent. Hopefully my story is an example of who people in prison are as opposed to how the community or how society likes to portray us. I sent LAIP a letter requesting for some assistance, and they responded, and the professor, Kay Finley, assigned 2 students to my case. Those students helped me put things on the record that had never been on the record before. Obviously, our letters and our argument was successful because I'm sitting here now, but it went beyond that. One of the students, his name is Joey. He's about to graduate. He's become a really good friend of mine. I was just up there talking to him not too long ago. They're in the process of creating a law firm. I'm gonna work with him on a law firm, so he's like family now. So to me, LAIP means freedom and hope.
I'm Joey Rubin. I'm an attorney in Madison with Small Axe Cooperative, and in law school, I did LAIP, Legal Assistance to Incarcerated People. I'm honored to be speaking on their behalf, and so through the craziness that is the universe, through that, I was connected with Dante, working on his case, and I really got to know him on a deep level. He's someone who's really committed to activism and organizing. While he was on the inside, he did a lot of journalism detailing the oppressive manifestation of mass incarceration. He worked to help people who were getting ready for release with their re-entry while he was inside. Since he's been out, he was the lead organizer in Racine for Expo. Now he's the associate director working on unlocking the vote, dignified housing, and locked up on the outside. It's been really a pleasure to become such good friends with Dante through the last few years and seeing him reach all of his goals, except he doesn't yet have his pilot's license. One thing he always said from the first time I met him was, "What happened to me, I have to use to help others." And he's made it his life's work to correct the narrative and explain his story. So I'm honored to present this to Dante Cottingham.
Thank you. Thank you, Joey. First of all, I would like to thank Correcting the Narrative for this award, for recognizing the brothers and sisters who come home and prove that they are not what they say they are. Second, I would like to thank the University of Wisconsin Law School. To be bluntly honest with you, the first time that I obtained adequate representation was after I served 25 years in prison. And I was assigned 2 law students, you just met one of them, who fought fiercely on my behalf. And obviously, the things that they helped me accomplish were successful because I'm here today. So thank you very much for everything that you do, for helping me, and for the tireless work that you guys do, representing brothers and sisters across the state that's incarcerated. Now, 17 months, y'all. After being sentenced to life as a juvenile and serving a total of 27 years, I've been home for just 17 months. Now, that's a release that would not have happened. It wasn't possible without the insight and the courageous nature of John Tate. Now, John Tate was the parole chairperson, the Wisconsin parole chairperson that literally signed my release grant. And thank you, John, for being willing to weather the storms that you knew, that you certainly knew, were inevitably connected to a black man in a position of power who was willing to unapologetically execute justice on behalf of the brothers and sisters that was the most disenfranchised in this state. Also, thank you for teaching me how to tie a tie. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with it. Straight up, I'm serious. I didn't know what I was doing. Now, because of my sentence structure, freedom for me was extremely unlikely. So within the past 17 months, I have been doing everything that I envisioned while incarcerated that represented freedom to me. I mean, I go to Marquette University. I'm the interim associate director at Expo of Wisconsin. I am using my directly impacted experience for the benefit of others. I got certified as a peer support specialist. I work in a hospital emergency room on a team with nurses and doctors. I talk to groups of teens. I speak in colleges. I'm the directly impacted person on several boards throughout the state. A couple months ago, I was in the mountains in Colorado. Y'all, I flew an airplane. Wait. But I don't feel free. Because I'm not free. I ain't free until 60,000 men and women across the state on probation, parole, and extended supervision can vote. I ain't free until Wisconsin stop leading the nation incarcerating its black and brown citizens. I ain't free until the underlying meaning of incarceration in this state isn't to break and destroy. I ain't free until my friend, James Williams, who went to prison in the 90s as a juvenile, who's not parole eligible to 2098, and so many others like him, are free. I ain't free until the brothers and sisters coming home from prison have adequate housing and employment that gives a livable wage. I ain't free until human rights and dignity is valued, respected, and protected in this state. Fact is, we all ain't free until we all free. So I call on you. I call on you to sign a petition at wisdomwisconsin.org in support of Governor Evers commuting excessive sentences. I call on you to contact your state representative and let them know that you support and tell them to support the voting rights of men and women that's currently on probation, parole, and extended supervision in this state. Tell them to support our bill. For the truth is, as long as one of us is confined, oppressed, and disenfranchised, we all are.
So before we introduce the next video, and this next video is to me the most important and powerful video of the night. I am comfortable being biased in that sense, and I think you'll know when you see it. It's a video about somebody that means a massive amount to a lot of us in this room tonight. And I like there's a lot of people that don't, but this one individual had an impact on a lot of our lives. I want to point out that also every one of the artists that has been up here tonight, as well as the catering and the designer of the step and repeat and a lot of the graphics, the decorations, these pendants were all made by formerly incarcerated people, and they were all formerly incarcerated artists, right? So this theme is through the whole show. So the next video is about Ramiah Whiteside. Ramiah Whiteside spent about 25 years in prison. It was about 4 years that he was out, and in December he passed away. He passed away from something that I think we hide from a lot in this work and in life, which is suicide. Right? It's a very important topic to understand that people coming home, even when we look like we're doing fantastic, we're not. Right? There's just so many layers behind what it means to come home after you've been locked up for 25 years, especially in Ramiah's case. And so this video is just a memorial of what he meant to us and what we hope to carry on forward because of the impact he had on many of our lives. So.
Well, I chose to write a story about Ramiah because I know that he's a very impactful and powerful advocate for returning citizens and justice reform.
Back in 2000, I believe 10, he came into the law library. He had just got kicked out of medium security prison, sent back to Max. The food was horrible in New Lisbon. So essentially, he got everybody not to go eat. So he organized a protest for several days, and apparently it was very effective. They put everybody, the units, on lockdown. They was interrogating people like what happened. They found out Ramiah had something to do with it. Gave kind of reports, tried to scare people into, but he fought it and he won. So that was my first initial introduction to the brother, Ramiah Whiteside.
Part of being Ramiah's assistant, I was able to give him his messages. And there have been hundreds since we lost him. Daniel Martin, he is proof that our past is not who we are. Yes. There are a few people that I would invite into my home to break bread, and this man was one of them. I want the Whiteside family to know their son, brother, husband was a good man with a good heart. And his life meant something to me and all the brothers that knew him. And we'll never forget the name Ramiah. Thank you for being the man you were to so many. I love you, my brother, and soon we'll be able to laugh and enjoy one another's company again. You will be greatly missed, and thanks to the Whiteside family for being a caring, loving, bringing a caring and loving and compassionate man into this world.
Ramiah always knew how to point me in a peaceful direction. Rest in peace, Ramiah. You made your mark in this world. You changed the lives of so many. Your ripples will go on and on forever in positive ways. Thank you, and I pray that the peace has found you. Your brother and friend, Jimmy Manette.
I was a new dad at the time. I had been in prison maybe 2 years or so when we met. And immediately he just gave me some advice about my son, who's a mixed fellow. And that whole experience of how to navigate that and what he would encounter and how I could help him even from a distance as a father was invaluable stuff. I mean, changed my life really. And, I always appreciate him for that.
Matthew S. wrote this to my friend. I've been in prison 18 years straight, and I knew Ramiah Whiteside very well and did time with him in a couple prisons, and he was the type of brother to give his shirt off his back for any brother in prison and on the streets. Love you, Ramiah. He had to be like 13. Me and his brother Reagan were best friends, and we were in the same gang, and he had just joined, and he wanted to know everything. He wanted to know everything, to the point that he wanted to know stuff I didn't know, right? And so he was like, what kind of leader are you? And you don't know anything. And he started researching, and to the point that he ended up having information I needed. And that just always stayed with me. Fast forwarding to maybe 8 years later in prison, to watch him no longer honor gang culture and some of the self-destructive things we taught and practiced, to watch him become this new man committed to changing lives and helping people inspired me. And so if I could say anything to my friend, I'm sorry that I failed you as a friend. Thank you for being my brother. I'm gonna carry on your work, man. Everything that meant something to you means something to me. I love you.
When I got the news about Ramiah, I knew a piece of my world had forever changed. I know a piece of others' world forever changed. The possibilities, people that didn't even know him, that don't get to meet him, have a loss that they don't even know about.
Ramiah was a very smart young man, even in school. He was an avid reader. He loved to make you laugh, and he did. And there were times when he was little, he was an avid swimmer. And when I had the children were little, and one of my things to bribe him with was his YMCA card. He could not go swimming if he could up in school.
Remember that every time you order out of a catalog other than Union Supply, now and in the future, we have Ramiah to thank as a major contributor to the bill that Governor Evers signed into law, bringing back other vendor competition. Rest in peace, my friend Ramiah. I say this to his family, well done, and how you helped mold an amazing individual who I personally feel privileged to have known, Thomas F. Ball II.
We did a tribute to Ramiah last week at the Clean Slate conference, and the room was quiet, and myself and so many just wept because we miss you, brother.
And so there's been several moments where he and I have had conversations while incarcerated about, being a little bit more strategic in our communications, as well as in how we rally and rile folks up. That's something that, I often keep at the forefront of my mind as I engage all across the country around justice reform.
The second to last time I saw Ramiah was at Waupun, and we went in and we spoke to the men inside of the Restorative Justice Program. And Ramiah got up second. I think he asked the guys, he said, how much time do you have left? Anytime somebody asks you how much time you have left, just say you have one day. Just live throughout the rest of your time in prison as if you have one day, as if tomorrow is the day that you're gonna get out. Because if you think you have like a year or 10, you're just gonna keep saying, I can do that tomorrow. I don't have to worry about that. I can do that another day. But it applies to us out in the world. You only live like you have one day left, in a sense, or believe that one day we will get to this place that Ramiah and all of us are working for. The only thing I've been motivated to get a tattoo for since I've been out, because of that.
After seeing the good he created in here and the lives he changed, it shows me that perhaps he was never meant for this world. Some of the kindest hearts I've ever seen have been in these places. Ramiah was a leader where so many never find the strength to even look. Perhaps it wasn't that he didn't leave enough for himself. Maybe everything he had was meant for others. I'll miss my friend, and the impression he left on my heart will forever live on. Jason Wright. There's at least 150 people, and it's Ramiah's turn to tell his story, and he had dug so deeply, and he had loved so many of the men when they wanted to give up, when it was time for them to say, screw it, I'm not gonna tell this story, I don't want anybody to know, I'm afraid, whatever it was. Ramiah and his 5'1" or 2 body would stand beside them. We had a guy that was in there was 6'8", so Ramiah and this young man that was probably 10 years younger than him standing there so he could lift him up. In that room, actually, so Senator Ron Johnson was there. There were some other folks in there. And what Ramiah shared to love others in that room, you could hear a pin drop. I know that the impact of that story, not only for the men that he walked alongside, for me in my life, transformed my life, he moved a room in such a way that that same person who typically probably didn't think about people incarcerated decided that they were going to support seeing somebody who could transform their life like that be able to have a chance to get out of prison. And so for me, Ramiah's transformation and invitation to other human beings changes the world. And I miss him. It wasn't a very succinct story, but that's who he was every day. Whether there was a senator in the room or a person who wasn't sure if they wanted to live or die, he stood with them. That's who Ramiah was and is to this day, living on throughout.
What about this mysterious dance made you cut the cord to the curtain in advance? But these are questions I can only ask the person looking back in the looking glass.
Usually in a situation like this, we give a moment of silence. I'd like to request a moment of noise for Ramaya. You all kind of jumped the gun on me. That wasn't the noise I meant. So now we have two things. So good job. I want everybody to, not as loud as you can, but just to say unlock the vote at the count of three, because that was Ramaya's signature effort that he did, and I think it will mean a lot. So 1, 2, 3. Unlock the vote. And I want us to keep that energy and that noise until it actually happens. Next honoree is Yolanda Perkins, who's also connected to Ramaya in many ways, selected by Free.
My mother did 16 years in prison. I was born into that, and I ended up with my environment falling into the same systems. I got off of paper in June of 2016. I am proud of accomplishing walking into the unknown, not knowing what was going to come, of doing something different, of exploring and finding new avenues. I'm also proud of being able to pass off the things and skills and knowledge that I learned about organizing in community and politics on a state, local, and federal level. I'm looking forward to being a part of a legacy of change. There's a quote by Socrates, and it says, the secret to change is not focusing our energy on the old, but building the new. And so even if I know I won't live to see change, to know that I can plant that seed in the children or, in other people in the community's minds and play a part in that, it's fulfilling. I would say don't give up hope, because a lot of people have faith. And I know my faith relies, me keeping my faith keeps a lot of people hope. And so don't give up. The concept of correcting the narrative means to me being able to see people for who they are, in the present, in the moment, and what they're working toward. People have passions and everybody has a heart. So correcting the narrative for me would be not keeping myself in a box. They say the worst prison is your mind. So being recognized for me, it means a lot to look at everything I've done been through, everything I've experienced, and to see how far I've come to be everything that the world and society and people have told me I couldn't be. Initially starting Free Out, it was a space of incarcerated women, a space we felt like we needed of our own. But as time goes on, it's become deeper than that, and realizing that women are essential in our community, and the fact that Free wants to start with women and children and babies, and to start where the seed grows.
Good evening. My name is Peggy West Schroeder, and I am the executive director of Free. Free is the first of its kind in the state, for us, by us, directly justice impacted women-led organization. And two of our campaigns, one revolves around housing and the other one revolves around maternal infant health and making sure that we're taking care of our women and in a dignified, humane manner while they are incarcerated, so that when they come out of incarceration, they are healthy and well enough to have children and to carry on and to be successful women in this world. And so when we were approached and asked who would Free like to honor at this event, we took a vote, but it was very clear that our number one choice was Yolanda Perkins. And I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Yolanda who has, as you saw from her video, has come through so many different traumas, so many different systems in order to get here, and yet she emerges from the ashes and is the woman who's standing in front of you. The number one reason why we chose Yolanda is because just like our brothers and sisters at Expo who are working to unlock the vote, Yolanda works every day to make sure that justice-impacted people know that they have a voice and know how to use that voice to make sure that they're carrying themselves forward, that they're contacting their legislators, that they know that if their garbage doesn't get picked up, they need to call the alderman. These are all things that are super important. She also knows that even if you don't have the right to vote, you still have the right to be heard. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you very proudly our honoree, Yolanda Perkins.
Hello, everyone. I have two thank yous I want to give out. So my first thank you would be to Free, to Expo, to Wisdom. Wisdom has a campaign going on that we all belong. And looking around in this room tonight, this is how it should be all the time. There shouldn't be barriers to social networks, to resources. And so I want to give a shout out to you guys. I love all of y'all. And then my second one would be to everybody that's here. Everybody that's here is some way, some form, some fashion is invested in this. And I also want everyone to know that when the work that I do is not just for us and where we are now, but to affect and to change for our children and our grandchildren and for the world as it is. So, thank you.
So our next nominee is a human being that my words would do no justice to describe. And her name is Colette Schumpert. And she is being nominated by Mothers Against Gun Violence. If you want to see walking second chances, these two women, they are the epitome of what that looks like. So our next nominee, Colette Schumpert.
Correcting the narrative to me is when an individual has an opportunity to right a wrong. It sort of falls in line with the biblical stance of repentance. You have an opportunity to say that, yes, I admit this is what I've done, but I have chosen to take another route. And therefore, it changes the narrative of what was into what can become. I wish society understood that not all crime survivors are victims. There are some of us who have decided to become victors. First of all, my name is Colette, and it means victory of the people. So I was probably born with the view of victory over whatever adverse situation that happens. To label crime survivors as victims, I think, does injustice to what it is that we would like to create in society. As a crime survivor, I am held to the very incident that happened in my life. That does not dictate who I am. However, it did propel me into who I would become. So for instance, mothers who have lost children may not exactly know how to get up from that, but if they can see someone like myself or Deborah Gillespie or many other moms within the community who are doing great things despite the loss, it doesn't replace the child. However, it gives me, per se, the opportunity to do exactly what I said in that hospital room. I spoke to God and I said to him, please do not let my son's life be in vain if this is the road I'm going down. His life is not in vain. I do the work not just because of Michael, I do the work because he gave me a purpose when he died to do the work. I decided to be a part of being honored in this process because I've had to have a great level of forgiveness for the young man who killed my son. And in light of that, I realized while I sat in the courtroom looking at pictures of him, I realized that this was also someone else's son. I felt that being honored in this way, I would have the opportunity to speak to the fact that if our community doesn't choose to heal, doesn't choose to forgive, that the individuals who would like an opportunity to create changing the narrative, they would have no voice. So I sit on the other side as an honoree to say, here's an opportunity in a bad situation to make everything better. Mothers Against Gun Violence, Deborah Gillespie is a phenomenal storyteller. She has taken our stories and placed them in a place that they may have never been heard. I sit here because of Deborah. I call her the gatekeeper, the door opener to the community, to give us a voice that many of us may not have had the opportunity to have. And in light of that, Mothers Against Gun Violence, that is exactly how my son was killed, through gun violence. It represents what I have had to experience.
I just want to thank Shannon and Adam and their cohorts. This is an unbelievable event. And I want you to know, for myself and Colette, this is like a full circle moment to have lost our child to gun violence and to have two men and their cohorts to honor Colette like this and to allow me to present this. I want to say thank you. Colette, please read your program to hear all the wonderful things that Colette has done. But there's two things that aren't mentioned in this program, which is she is a mentor, a group facilitator for the Mirror Project, in which Shannon and Adam has also developed. And I just want to say, Colette, it is my honor to present to you this award. And I just want to read what your pendant is about. Colette's name means victory. Her pendant represents her image and a dove as a symbol of her being victorious in the struggle of peace within herself and her community. Thank you, Colette.
So I did write something, but there's no need in me even trying. First of all, I want to thank God because I stand where I stand, doing what I do, because He has shown me the way. Otherwise, I would not be here because this wasn't my desire. I thank Deborah for being exactly what the video said. She has given voices to many mothers who have lost children in our community, working with UWM to make our stories not only in our city or state, but in a national light. So I am very grateful for her. I am also likewise grateful to the community and the narrative, changing or correcting the narrative rather. Adam and Shannon has opened a gateway for me that I didn't even know existed. And when I think about that over the last several months that I have been in relationship with them and the organizations in which they have started, I am amazed at the fact that many of us have been free all of our lives, yet we have not accomplished a portion of what they have in 2 years. So it's a testament that even though they came from horrific situations, they have the ability to turn that around in very small cells and come out and be diligent to that. And it does something to my heart. It helped my forgiveness journey. And when I think about that journey, I think about the fact that If we don't heal as a community, from the jail cell to our politicians in every high arena and everything in between, well, if you take a look at your neighbor or the table across from you, this is what it looks like. It looks like us sitting in the same room. And in the book that Bishop T.D. Jakes just released called Disruptive Thinkers, he refers to us in this room as unlikely alliances. It is unlikely that I would be contracted to help through some situations with people who have murdered people or crimes that have caused horrific situations in our community. It's unlikely that I would be in alliance because I suffered a great loss of my son. But unless we decide to do tables like we are today, as a community to say, I'll sit next to you and I will try to help solve the problems and bring those that are in authority and those who may not feel like they are to give a voice, we will never heal. And so I'm grateful to receive this word today, and I thank God for every person who has given their time to just be a part of something greater than their situation at home or their block. So thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Shannon, and the community, and correcting the narrative. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's no small significance to me and Adam and Roy and Todd, who are in this program they mentioned, Mirror, to just engage with and see on a regular basis, to work with healing and trying to prevent youth from going down paths that we took, and working with the very people that are in the seat where we cause the most harm, right? It's just a remarkable power to have that relationship and to see how Deb and Colette and Camille Mays and Michael Washington in the program, who've all lost a loved one, have responded and how it's been healing for them. I'm just constantly not shocked, but shocked at how simple some of these things can be, right? If we just have more proximity and less separation, the healing is right there. We just pass it up all the time in life. And so that's a very powerful thing that Colette was just saying. So next up, we have a speaker who has joined us from the East Coast. And he has a really, really interesting story. And I'm going to let him tell it because I don't know it, of course. But David Garlock is going to talk to you about his journey through the system in multiple ways and how it kind of encompasses a lot of what you've heard tonight in one story.
Thank you so much for the invite, Shannon. How y'all doing? Okay, I'm going to talk about some heavy stuff. So first off, I want to tell a little joke. I know I'm in Wisconsin, so this might not fall as good as some other places. So 2012, my wife graduated from Penn State. In 2013, I graduated from the state Penn. Oh, okay. I was actually in a prison last week in Pennsylvania, and I told that, and none of the gentlemen laughed, and they're like, we've been hearing that all of our lives, and we're here. I was like, okay. So what I want you guys to do right now is just close your eyes. What I'm going to talk about is going to be some heavy stuff. It can be triggering, so if anybody needs to talk afterwards, I'm definitely welcome to talk to you. But just close your eyes and listen to this poem. A moment was all that it took, and my life was forever changed. I walked down those steps thinking we were playing hide and go seek. I was the first one to go hide. I found a closet and went in, hoping that I had found a good spot. Time went by. I felt good about my place, and then I was found. Nothing was said or done about my capture, just darkness and silence. That is when the abuse began. Hands on me in ways that shouldn't be. I was in a state of shock and confusion. I could not move or say a word. Why was this happening? What was going on? I couldn't comprehend anything. When it all ended, I was told to go upstairs. I walked up each step and was in a stupor. Why did this happen? He pulled me to the side and told me that I would die if I told anyone. Fear and confusion now filled my mind. How could I ever be the same? I went down those steps an 11-year-old and came up as a broken person who now had to become everything for everyone. That is when the abuse began. So this abuse happened to both my brother and I for about 8 years. We made an irrational decision to take the person's life. served 13 and a half. After I was released, I moved to Pennsylvania to attend school at Eastern University. Anybody hear of a lawyer named Bryan Stevenson? So he actually worked with my brother and me and helped us get out. And so I went to the college, same college he did, Eastern University. But what I'm going to talk to you tonight about is kind of like what Colette talked about, being an unlikely advocate. Now to do that, I have to tell you a little story. So March of 2017, I was in my car driving from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, which is on the edge of Amish paradise, going to West Philadelphia. No, I was not born there. I did not play basketball growing up, but you know. There I am driving, and I get a phone call. I had just applied to a Christian reentry home that was gonna be a part-time job. So I was like, okay, I love this. I'm gonna apply to this job. I applied to it. On the way to see my parole agent, they love calling themselves parole agents, not officers. I don't know, it could be like a thing, like they don't like the term officer. But there I am driving. I get the phone call from the executive director. His name's Jordan Kaufman. He's like, hey, this is Jordan. I'd love to talk to you about the application you put in. I'm like, okay. He's like, can you tell me about you? So I tell him my story. I'm like, okay. My brother and I were sexually, physically abused. We made the irrational decision, took the person's life, blah, 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 blah. I'm in college. I want to work in reentry. He's like, I have a question for you. I was like, okay. He's like, the population that we work with are people who were convicted of sexual offenses. Would you be able to work with this population? I immediately said yes. Because of my faith that teaches me about grace, teaches me about mercy, teaches me about forgiveness. And then also, what is Bryan Stevenson's famous quote? What? But you're not as bad as the worst thing you've ever done. And that is how I went into this job. I went into this job looking at these men, not as the offenses that they committed, but looking them as a human being. The name of this ministry I worked for was called New Person Ministry. It comes from 2 Corinthians 5:17 that says, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things have passed away, all things have become new. And that's how I looked at this. I had worked in this job for 3 years. And every day I went to work, I looked at it as restorative justice. The main thought about restorative justice is peace or shalom or wholeness. What I was able to do was I was able to be a victim by proxy for these men. Because most of these men would never be able to talk to the person that they had harmed and have a conversation. So here I was able to have these conversations with these men. I was able to get them to talk about what led them to commit these offenses. What it did was it allowed them to, in essence, forgive others who had harmed them. But they were able to forgive themselves. And that was a point that helped them move on. Anybody that's caused harm, that's where one of the places where you have to forgive yourself for what you did, the harm that you caused. And it was so powerful seeing these men, you know. Now, if you told me when I got out of prison in 2013 that I would now be doing national advocacy for people who are forced to register, I would have been like, you are crazy. Why would I want to advocate for that population? But Colette said a perfect thing. It's like we get into these unlikely situations where we're able to advocate for people. I love the title of tonight, Correcting the Narrative. But we can't just correct the narrative with carve-outs. A lot of people in reform movements and everything want to do work for people who have committed a nonviolent offense, or this type of individual, that type of individual. When we correct the narrative, we have to correct it all the way around. It's not using terms like inmate, convict, felon, etc. You know, we have to use person-first language. But we can't continue to use terms like sex offender. Because if we're correcting the narrative, we have to correct the narrative for everybody. So terms that are humanizing for this population are persons forced to register, persons convicted of a sexual offense, a registrant. This movement about reform, this movement about all of us together, or all of us or none of us, it includes everybody. This population is a population that actually has more harm done to them by the registry and the restrictions, and they feel like no one is there fighting for them. So what we can do is we can come along them and fight with them. Does that mean that we condone what they did? No. But we look at the person that's standing in front of us and say, you are a human being, you have dignity, you have power, you have worth, you have potential, and I'm gonna view you in that way. So I'm gonna read one more poem, and then my time will be done. Usually when I speak, I have 45 minutes to 2 hours. And so Shannon's like, you got like 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, wow, okay. I got to get it all quick, fast, and in a hurry. Society is always saying change is not possible. They are too broken, and fixing them would cost too much. Let's get them out of our sight and make them do their time in prison. We don't have to deal with them, and we can begin healing from the hurt. Out of sight, out of mind. But is that the reality and totality of the situation, or is that the frailty of our system? Thoughts like this plague those who possess a heart, because change truly is possible. A second chance where one is transformed, reformed, and conformed, not to the image of man, but to the image of God. One returns to the created state, not by mere faith, but by making that which was crooked straight. The process is about refining, defining, and reminding them about the purpose they were called to. One that focuses on wholeness and unity. It has its start when in the heart the thought is conceived, received, and believed. The traction begins with an action. Our future is sealed. Now it's time to see the fruit we yield. Change is possible when it is nourished and believed in. Thank you.
I would like to invite our next performer up, and it's none other than Dusty Pockets.
So I go by Dusty Pockets on stage. It's not my real name. It's just because most of my songs have incriminating evidence that the local law enforcement might find more interesting than just pure entertainment. This song that I wrote, I'm glad I was invited here to do this. I was kind of concerned a little bit because I haven't spent an extended amount of time behind bars, but I have been imprisoned most of my life. I'm a recovering drug addict, and I've been imprisoned by a lot of things. And at the end of my rope, I was actually homeless, and it was about 4.5 years ago, and I had to struggle through getting through a lot of stuff, build my life back up from shambles. And so I have a song. I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, what the vibe would be, but this is a song that I wrote. And it's not only about a toxic relationship what I had with a woman, but also a toxic relationship with chemicals and spirits that almost took my life and have taken the lives of too many people that I know and love. So this is a song I call Morphia. One sec. Bingo. Well, I knew when I first saw you all the trouble that you would be. Well, I knew that you'd be trouble, but I followed you right into the arms of the police. Well, people warned me all about you. Friends told me I should think twice. But I met you and I was drunk at a party. Now I pay for you to truck my life. Her name is Morphia, and she felt just like the summer breeze. I couldn't tell you all the songs I've sung for my bittersweet Morphia. When Dad left Mom, I was just a boy. No one gave me much plan, so I chased down the taste of oblivion to hope that I could feel like a man. Here's some of the things I did for Morphia. I've driven all around in a snowstorm. At times I've even danced in the rain. I'd abandon my kid if I had one, but I don't, and she's the one to blame. Her name is Morphia, and she felt just like the summer breeze. I couldn't tell you all I've said and done for my bittersweet Morphia. Well, I used to have such nice things. She had me sell them all away. She said paying your bills ain't a problem when you don't have a place to stay. Her name is Morphia, and she felt just like the summer breeze. I couldn't tell you all I've said and done for my bittersweet Morphia. One more time. There were times when she would console me. The times that I was broke, I was alone. But the good and the bad both led me so far away from home. Her name is Morphia. She was the coldest witch you've ever seen. I couldn't tell you all the songs I've sung for my bittersweet Morphia. Thank you.
So our next nominee is somebody I know personally. I actually used to bunk next to him, which was terrible because he was an avid Packer fan. And so go ahead and boo. And he also was my arch nemesis on the softball field. I was always on the rec team, and he was on the native team. And they would battle with us year after year. But he's a very good friend of mine. So our next nominee is Avery Nakwa. and they are nominated by the Shakespeare Prison Project.
I was incarcerated 23, 24 years. When the opportunities came to enter into the programs within the system, we started out with AODA and CJP 1, 2, 3, and 4, long distance dads. I took culinary arts and I graduated from that, and I went on to get my journeyman card in prep cook. Through it all, I was going to pipe and drum sweat lodge ceremonies, and that was instrumental in my change and everything that I did. It kept me busy, it kept me positive, it kept me focused, it kept me on a good path. Since I've been out, I drove for UPS, graduated their school, went to MTC, graduated trucking school. I'm very grateful for having the opportunity to participate and to learn. Dominating feeling is just gratitude. Some people, they take for granted the everyday things and they lose sight of beauty. The one thing that having been through the system has done for me, it's given me my sight back, so to speak, in social interactions. Beauty, in Mother Earth, throwing my shoes on and walk down to the store, getting a water or cold soda or something. There's the power in beauty when you have an eye for it it's so amazing. It's very humbling, I have to say that, and I'm really humbled that I was chosen to be here, and I hope that I set such an example and speak in such a way my actions and my words will echo in a good way years from now, generations from now. The Shakespeare Project and Doc Shaler really meant a lot to me. It was just so amazing. The philosophy of Shakespeare, it just applies to every level of human beingness, of life. There's something that Shakespeare says that can apply to that. I came away a better human being for having met Doc Shaler and participated in the Shakespeare Project. I'm just grateful for having met Doc Shaler there. And I'm very humbled and glad that he thought of me for this project.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan Shaler of the Shakespeare Prison Project at Racine Correctional Institution. You weren't going to get out here without a few words from Shakespeare, so what he had to say that I think is appropriate to this occasion is something about our shared humanity. Our life is of a mingled yarn, good and ill together. Our virtues would be proud if our faults whipped them not, and our crimes would despair if they were not cherished by our virtues. I want to thank Shannon Ross for reaching out to the Shakespeare Project. His amazing vision has touched us all. And the first man that I thought of was Avery Nawakwa. It's my honor to honor Avery as someone who is correcting the narrative about formerly incarcerated people. When Avery signed up for the Shakespeare Prison Project back in 2016, he came in thinking it was a class on critical thinking and conflict resolution, not a theater class dedicated to a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. But get this, not only did he show up, but he took on the role of Titania, Queen of the Fairies. Showed not 1 ounce of insecurity. He was an example to all of the men in that group. He did not mince, he did not lisp, he did not caricature these women. He played their humanity. He played them with dignity and strength. He was awesome, really. It was a very powerful performance. But more than that, he was a member of the company, and as a member of the company, he was a leader. He often, through his quiet interventions, would resolve a conflict within the group, would share some of his wisdom, and it always landed with great gravity. I want to thank Avery for all of his wonderful work with the Shakespeare Project. I've stayed in touch with him, his family. That's why his family is up here, because they've supported him every step of the way. His mother is an incredible person, and I want to thank her for all the support that she's given him. She can't be with us here today, but I know she's with us in spirit. So congratulations, Avery Nawakwa.
All the world stage, huh? To be or not to be? That's the question. So, changing the narrative, I think that's kind of related there. And to do that, I think we have to change the narrative within. We'll start there. And when you do that, you begin a journey, a very long one. And you go to different realms, different dimensions of your heart, your soul. Find out a lot about yourself, your conceptual world, and about humanity, about people. And Doc Shaler was instrumental in this change, even when he wasn't there, and as I continued on. And today, I continue to apply all that I've learned through meeting him, through our conversations. So much wisdom he imparted to me. Our conversations were always healing. And today I tried to be medicinal in all my interactions with people that I come across. I hope that this movement that we're a part of here today, and thank you everyone for coming here. And we're all worthy, we're all capable to turn the leaf, to go change not only ourselves, but the community and the world. We send good ripples out, we send our prayers, and as someone said earlier, what you put into the universe, you get back. That's something me and my brother talk about. And today we try to teach song and culture and try to speak in a way that's befitting of the situation, because there's so much pain going on, violence, addiction. At any rate, I'm going to keep going if I talking about that stuff. I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all of you for being here and for listening to us, for believing in second chances, believing in the power of the heart and mind. Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have kind of a like lifetime achievement award in a sense, in a brief time that this person was in this role. And I'm asking anyone in this room still at this point of the night that was let out by John Tate, when the video's done, if you can be up here on stage, I would appreciate that. If you hear it, I think I'm looking at some of you that I know is let out by John Tate, and you got a mouthful of food and you're not listening. But, so if you were let out by John Tate, and you're in this room still, when the video's done, if you can be on stage, we appreciate it. Here's the video.
Tate helped people to come home for all the reasons that were both restorative, all the reasons that make sense for public safety, all the reasons that make sense for the rehabilitative process that they say taxpayers throughout the state of Wisconsin are paying for. And yet, the taxpayers from the state of Wisconsin were led to believe that he did something bogus, that he did something wrong, that he did something terrible. And that's infuriating.
The hardest thing about it was losing my mom. But I got that chance to be with her, and just a chance at life, and just to make it. Thank you for the opportunity that I had with my mom. That meant everything. Thanks for the freedom. Thanks for the chance, for believing in me. Thank you.
I want to say thank you for myself, for my family. Time, being able to have these times and being able to spend them with family and friends is something that I could never take for granted ever again, because I know what I missed while I was gone. And now that I have it, I don't ever want to lose it again.
I even stopped going to parole for almost 6 to 7 years. And then you came along, and I heard about the compassionate heart you had, the integrity that you had, and I gave it a chance. And amazingly, you took a big risk in freeing an individual like me that I thought that I would never be released. I literally thought that I would never come home. Nobody in the administration thought that I would ever come home. None of my friends thought that I would ever come home.
Freedom has meant to me everything. Having a 75-year sentence and no real out date, and to finally be blessed with freedom is everything. I look forward to one day shaking your hand. I'm your biggest fan for sure. I thank you. It was wrong how they treated you, but you have a whole bunch of people who thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We support you, and you forever have a friend and ally in David Michael Morrell.
I'm still working at Lappin Hickey Steel. I'm still doing well. And to my family, it's helping us save. We're almost paid our home off. And it's been awesome. And I'm just so grateful for that. I thank you. God bless you, sir.
Not just me, my friends, my family, the community, you know, the difference that we're making now because of you, the understanding that you have gave us, the power of hope, it's overwhelming. You really, really made a difference. And I think you're gonna be able to see it a lot in the people that you let go.
I can't say that I've seen a more committed, dedicated, and really lifting up the rules of a political system, a social system, a penal system done quite the way that he's done it. And you know, for that, I'm humbled. It restores my faith in both people and in systems being able to change while they are still operational. But in that, he's taken a lot of hits personally in his life. He's taken a lot of hits in the public space that directed at him as an individual. And I feel a certain kind of heat and fire about that, because what we should not be doing as everyday people, as activists, as system impacted people, as marginalized people, allowing for people who are doing the job right, who are doing it well, to take hits for that.
So Mr. Tate, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you from the depths of my soul, and for allowing me to come home and to serve my community and to help those who I'm able to help. Thank you so much.
I do want to again thank you for seeing something in me that made you feel that I was worthy of a second chance. And for that, I am forever grateful. My family is forever grateful. God bless you, man. God bless you. And again, I support you 100%.
On behalf of my family and my friends, Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And all of this is thanks to you and your belief in second chances and your belief in the human spirit.
There will not be a day that I breathe that I don't remember how it felt to be inside and who contributed to me being released and coming home. Thank you.
It was rocky when I first got out, but I have a job, I have transportation, I got my own place. Ooh, man, I could just kick my shoes off wherever I want in my apartment. I'm like, wow. I thought that I was gonna really die in prison. I really did. But thank you, God bless you, and I really appreciate you taking the chance on me. Thank you.
Well, I would say to you, Mr. Tate, is that thank you for the revival of my spirit. You know, I literally started feeling like I was amongst the walking dead. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to have life beyond just my past, beyond the decisions that I made as a 15-year-old child.
I thank Tate for reviewing my file and seeing the changes, the necessary changes that I made during my time. Correcting myself, because that's what it was all about, being able to correct myself and being able to prove that I can come out and be a positive person in society. And I'd just like to thank him for seeing that and giving me that chance to do that.
It's a beautiful thing to see that I have the opportunity to get back what was given to me from Partners in Hope. Basically from Tate, giving me the opportunity to give back.
I thank you. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your integrity. I appreciate the loyalty that you demonstrated to the task that you were given. I thank you for your courageousness and you just being brave enough to do the right thing when a vast majority of people that were surrounding you did not clap for that.
I just went to saw my brother yesterday, and to be able to do the things for him that my mother did for me when I was incarcerated, that's what freedom meant to me, because that's what it always been about. You know, getting out. And Justin Timberlake used to have this song where he said he was bringing sexy back. You know, I'm bringing proud back, you know, making people proud of me. You know, my mama proud of me. All the people that matter to me is proud of me, and that's all that really mattered to me.
I say thank you, because what you did was you showed a lot of men and women who were incarcerated that in the midst of decision making, when you can make an easy decision that won't help society, it's best to make a hard decision that will help society, even if it's at the expense of what you become comfortable with in life.
I would like to see you. I'd like to meet you, because I would like to shake your hand for granting me my life again.
But lives have changed, families have changed, and neighborhoods have changed because he had the courage to do the job that he was appointed to do while also never having been completely confirmed. So his job was always in jeopardy, and he did the job, man. I can't lift that up enough. If nothing else, man, this guy should be talked about as like one of the models to be studied and followed in how he did the job for as long as he did the job without the professional protections that go along with such a job that he was never afforded because of politics.
About 25 years ago, I was visiting with my daughter and my two young grandsons at Waupun Correctional Institution. When the visit was ended, my oldest grandson, Lonnie, looked up to me and he asked, "Grandpa, aren't you coming too?" I was speechless, but my daughter put her hand on my shoulder and said, "I'll explain it to him later, Daddy." Yesterday, before my partner and I came here for this event, my youngest granddaughter, Bodie, said, "Grandma and Grandpa are going to bring me a present when they come back." Now that wasn't a Bodie, that wasn't a question. It was a Bodie statement of fact. Bodie is the same age as Lonnie was, and the difference in the message and the response, John Tate. Freedom is one of the most powerful words in any language, yet we complicate its meaning because we tend to overthink its premise. I could put myself into any of the stories and sentiments expressed on the video we just saw because of the wisdom, professionalism, integrity, and courage of John Tate. And for nearly 2 years, I have been hoping that I get the chance to shake his hand and say thank you. I get that honor and privilege today because of you, my granddaughter will not be disappointed. But here's the thing, and this is the thing that everybody up on this stage and everybody in this audience needs to remember. Freedom also means that John Tate made us personally responsible for every single thing that we do in our lives from now on. Freedom does not mitigate what we did to get into prison in the first place, nor does it undervalue that premise as the haters, political naysayers, and critics would have people believe. It is up to each one of us to prove them wrong. So as we humbly present John Tate with this award tonight, let us present him with an even greater gift, the commitment to continue to make the positive and powerful impacts that many of us are making as a celebration of freedom, proving that his decisions, though right for each of us and our respective families, were also right for the community as well. Amen. For that, we thank you, God.
Thank you all. That was an incredible video. First, thanks to the community for recognizing the service that I provided to the state of Wisconsin in the capacity as parole chair. Believe it or not, thank you to Governor Evers for appointing me in the first place. My parents are here, supporting me and, standing in the way of the handshakes these men were waiting for. That's my dad and my mother. I'm very, very proud to have them as a parent.
How do you, son? How do you? How do you?
But if there's a thanks that is really necessary tonight, it's to the men behind me and the cohort that they represent. Because my ability to do what I did, to give them the chance to actually execute the laws as they exist on the books, based on the principles that passed them into legislation in the first place, that means forgiveness is real, change is possible, redemption is something that we believe in, at least we did in the state of Wisconsin. These men put themselves in a position to have that law executed.
That's right.
These men put themselves in a position to have those principles fulfilled. I only said yes. I only looked at the law and said, they fit, so we do it. One of the things that, I've got a lot of, bars during my time as a parole chair, but one of the first lines I said was either we believe that people can be redeemed or we don't. And if we do, then why don't we execute the powers, the privileges, the authority that we are given to show that we actually do, because they exist. And these men represent that redemption is real. That's right. Recovery is real. Being redeemed is real. Rehabilitation is real. Prior to being appointed as parole chair, I read a few books, watched a few documentaries. But one of the lines that stood out to me, and it was already said by one of the speakers earlier, we are all more than the worst thing we've ever done, by Brian Stevenson. And as I entered into this role, having read that well before I ever was on my radar for me to become parole chair, actually immediately before becoming parole chair, I was working as a social worker at RCI, and seeing the system in action, especially comparing those with truth in sentencing sentences versus parole sentences, and seeing the vast gulf that exists between justice and whatever we call what exists right now. But that perspective I brought with me to say either we believe in these people, I believe that they are more than the worst thing that they've ever done, and the reality is the parole population that exists now only exists with people who have done some of the worst things that could be done in our society. But either we believe that people can change regardless of the worst things that can be done in our society, or we don't. And I think we should, and we do believe in change. So when we talk about correcting the narrative, changing the narrative, it means pushing back against the sense that justice is somehow synonymous with vengeance. It is not. I was not appointed to the parole chair to be an agent of vengeance or to continue to execute punishment upon people who've already been punished, but instead my job was to evaluate and determine whether these people were no longer the same person that had done the terrible thing that was done. And in more often than not, in so many cases, I had the privilege and honor to observe firsthand, in real time, redemption and rehabilitation and change. And, I had the honor and privilege to see people make the transformation that very few do get to see, of a person being one thing at one time in their life and a whole nother thing at another time in their life, and giving them the opportunity. So for me, it was the privilege of observing that, because not a lot of people get to see what I saw. Not a lot of people got to see these men where they were and where they got to. Not a lot of people got to see men and women where they were and where they got to. And for the critics, for those naysayers, for the people who would abuse public sentiment to damage what we actually hold as core values in our society, that people can change, that we're not going to be stuck as who we were at one point in our lives, regardless of the small things or the great things we may do. Shame on those folks, because this room is filled with stories, examples, living testimonies of people who are no longer who they once were. And the irony is, so many of those critics come from places where, if we looked in their past hard enough,
come on,
or not so hard enough, they'd be very quick to say, I'm not that person anymore, and want us to believe it. So I'm again very honored and privileged, and this actually smells phenomenal because it's like, it's a quality wood, I think, and certainly it's handcrafted, so again, shout out to the community because this is like craftsmanship for real. But I'm just grateful, as many of you know, if you watch the news or read a newspaper, the last year of my life has not been the easiest. Come on, son. But there was one thing I said before everything hit the fan, and it was at another event where we were recognizing some progress. When you have the chance to do something right, even when it's dangerous for you to do it anyway.
Do it. That's what you said.
As Carl Field said, there was at no point where I was safe to do what I did as parole chair.
That's right.
There was no point where there wasn't, a guillotine hanging over my neck, waiting to drop if I got too far out of the line. But what had to be done needed to be done. What was necessary to be done was done. What these men had earned to have done on their behalf had to be done. And I don't regret a single choice. Because at the end of the day, somebody from CBS 58 had the nerve to ask me if I regretted the choices. I'm like, no. The people who earned their freedom. Why would I be ashamed of giving somebody what they earned? Why should I feel regret for doing what God called me to do?
Talk about it.
For acting upon the principles and beliefs that so many say we should have.
Give him the glory, sir.
So, I often revel in the irony that exists around my situation because the same folks who would attack me for applying some modicum of mercy, some modicum of justice, some modicum of forgiveness on behalf of the state are also the same ones that want to justify taking away other people's rights based on their misconstrued belief, based on their bastardized version of a religion. So, again, nobody fully understood what kind of decision they made when they made me parole chair. And that's okay. Because in my confirmation hearing, I was very transparent. I never hid who I was, what I believed, and what I intended to do. And everything I did was based on data, based on law, and based on beliefs and principles that I believe many in our society hold. That we are more than the worst thing that we've ever done. That if a person has done anything in their life, there's an opportunity for them to be somebody else. And we believe these things. We hold those truths.
Come on, that's it. Go ahead. Come on.
And these men are the evidence of it.
Come on.
So, thanks to the community for the recognition. I didn't do anything I did to be recognized, but it is nice to, step out and do some things even though you're not safe to do them. Take the hits that you know are going to be taken. Because I did know, out of the gate, I walked in and was like, I'm going to do some stuff. And eventually somebody's going to have a problem with it, and that is what it is. But ultimately, the impact that is going to be felt through our community, through our society, in a positive manner, because the people who have been released under my tenure demonstrated that they deserved that release, that they earned that release, that they put themselves in a position for me to say yes. Yeah. That's all I had to do. The commissioners made their assessment independent of myself and said yes. And when they said yes, I looked at it and said yes, because they did everything that they were supposed to do. All they did was need the opportunity to show that they had done it. And these men and women they earned it. And I'm grateful that they continue to demonstrate why it should have been given in the first place, so that so many more who are still behind bars, so many more who are still waiting for that opportunity, these men validate the yes that the future folks are going to receive. Because they come out and say, yeah, you thought we were going to be dangerous. You tried to scare society and say we're going to be this thing or that thing. But here we are, standing up exactly how we're supposed to stand and holding on to the belief that, yeah, I didn't want to be that person anymore, and you shouldn't think that I would be.
That's right.
So don't have me start saying a bunch of stuff. So again, thanks to the community, thanks to Shannon for putting this together. It is important that we do correct narratives because there's a lot of them out there that exist not because they're based in reality, not because they're based in fact, because they're based in agendas that aren't really for the liberation of people. And so we have to correct that narrative, and that's all I tried to do was say there actually exists another narrative, and if we give these folks the chance, they'll prove it to be true. So thanks again. I'm grateful for their recognition. And they'll continue to serve and continue to be the example that proves the existing narrative wrong.
Oh, that's yours.
And the last thing I want to say is there's a story that I was privileged to hear at a man who was in the video a couple of times, Carl Fields' wedding 2 weeks ago. And I think that I've been given permission to say this story because it's a very powerful story. But we talk about correcting the narrative. And Tate mentioned that it was meeting Carl and the image and the representation that he had that allowed him to say, how many more are inside like that? So that was like the epitome of correcting the narrative. And from Carl just being who he is to somebody who then ended up in that position, so many were let out. It's planting seeds. So our final honoree for the night is Cameron Kennedy, selected by Running Rebels.
Well, I was incarcerated 2.5 years. I was working on my 4th incarceration when I was 24. I got out in 2018. Well, my last incarceration, I got baptized. So the most thing I'm proud of since being released is just really sticking to the formula. It means for me, like, just getting out, getting a job, not getting impatient, you know, being more family oriented. I had several jobs since I've been released. Now I'm working at Running Rebels now. Just to grow, man, my organization and grow with the businesses that I have going on. You know, just learn. I always say it's purpose in your pain, it's success in your struggles. Just because this chapter bad doesn't mean the whole book is gonna be bad. When I was released, anytime I have a hiccup, I always thought about the pain. It could be worse, you know? So I always use that to drive me. I just tell people, don't ever give up, because a lot of people be in a lot of bad situations. You just don't ever give up. You gotta build rapport with people, you know? You gotta put yourself in rooms, and you probably the black duck in the room, you know? But you gotta just show them like, hey, I'm just like y'all, I'm coming to bring it. Sometimes you can cry wolf so long, you know, nobody believes you. So I feel like correcting the narrative, just showing the guys like, hey, I'm trustworthy. Hey, you can count on me. Hey, I promise you I ain't gonna mess it up. Coming out of prison is just, you know, it's hard, but you gotta stay focused, stick to the formula. It felt amazing because it took me a long time to get here. I missed a lot of blessings, and I messed up a lot of times, you know. I never stopped, like, trying to be successful. I never stopped trying to be positive, you know, even though there's a lot of negative going on in my life. I knew I was good in the inside, you know. It was just the situations around me, you know, and of course you make wrong decisions. Oh yeah, that's family. For, you know, Running Rebels been with me since I was 13 years old. So it's a thing called full circle. So full circle means you have to grow up in the program, now you work for the program. So man, Running Rebels is everything to me because they gave me a shot. They gave me opportunities after opportunities, raises after raises, saw my potential after my potential after potential. They stuck with me since I was a teenager, you know. Now I'm 31 years old. I'm proud to call Running Rebels my family.
Come on up. These people are tired and want to go home. Come on. My name is Dawn Barnett. I'm the co-executive director for Running Rebels Community Organization. We are honored to be here. Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you all for sticking to the end and for being here to celebrate with us. We were honored to be a part of this when asked who this award would best go to. Immediately we knew it was Mr. Cameron Kennedy. For a couple of reasons. One, when we talk about changing the narrative for our young people, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to him. Is that okay? Come on, come stand here. Oops. Our young people come to us, and they're fighting against a narrative that's been told to them of who they are, who they can't be. They're given a story of all the challenges that are against them. And you, because of where you've been, because of what you've learned, and what you said in your video about taking all that pain and turning it into your purpose, you show them that they can do it and they can change their narrative. They can fight against all the things that they've been told that they can't be and choose to be who they want to be. They can choose to have the life that they view as their best life. You show them that. I can't tell you how passionate is he about the work that he does. Young people who don't care, come into the program, don't care. Don't care whether they live or die. Don't feel like anybody in this world cares about them. And the work that you do, the passion that you have, how you dig deep and get them to dig deep and understand that there are people in this world that care about them and there is nothing that they can't accomplish. You are changing the world. Do you know that? You are changing the world. And I have hope. You give me hope. You give me hope by the work that you do and this awesome team behind you. Now, this shows how much impact you have. His team was like, we're all coming. We are all coming tonight to share in this celebration for Cam. So honored to present this award to Cam, a valuable part of our team who is that full circle. That full circle represents pouring seeds into young people so that they can come back and now affect the next generation, and that's exactly what he's doing, Mr. Cameron Kennedy.
It took me a minute to get here, but I'm glad to say I finally made it. I want to thank my wonderful team, because they said surround yourself around positive people. So, man, I wouldn't be here without my team. First, Darn Barnett. I don't want to get in trouble. Hold on. I want to thank Darn Barnett, Victor Barnett, for always believing in me since I was 13. I grew up in a program. It took me a long time to get here, but I finally made it. I want to thank my boss, Tyra, all my leads, my coworkers, man. Y'all give me so much therapy. They call me to pray with me. Just some good people, man. All right. This is why I really want to get out, man. I want to share this with the youth. With the youth. I want to share this award because it shows them no matter what you come home to, no matter what trauma, no matter what you've been through, no matter how many times people counted you out, no matter how many times people said they didn't love you, no matter how many times people said you won't be nothing, no matter how many times people just talked about you for no reason, they never poured into you. You come home to broken parents. You come home to broken, your mom trying to put food on the table. It's hard, it's struggling. It's for the youth that want to give up every day. I wanted to give up yesterday, but I surround myself with great people. This is for the youth that always want to give up, but got the strength not to give up. And I appreciate y'all coming here tonight. And I appreciate y'all hearing my story. I am Cameron Kennedy from the Running Rebels organization. Thank you.
Once again, how y'all doing this evening? Y'all doing good this evening? You know, this has been a great night to be with family and friends. You know, I'm thankful for all my brothers and sisters who are here right now. But we have one more performance for you from a brother by the name of Bad Life Ace. But, you know, I know Bad Life Ace as Micaiah Bell. You know, let's show some love for Micaiah Bell right now. Micaiah is another brother whom John Tate said yes to. A brother who was anointed with beautiful musical talents and gifts that he has been allowed to be released to bless us with. So receive my brother once again, Bad Life Ace.
Bad Life Ace.
How y'all doing tonight,
21
man?
Gun Salute. Scott Boys.
Anybody that understand pain, y'all can stand up with me.
If you struggle the way that I struggle, stand up. If you understand my pain, stand up. Stand up. When my back's against the wall and I got no recourse at all, I'ma try. Give it my all, nothing to show still, I'ma find a will to survive. Cause I've been through the storms with no rainbows. Even when I'm knocked down, I ain't knocked out. The swimming with the sharks and no lifeboat. Push hard to the ground, don't know how to stay down. Born to be successful, how to fuck and how to fail. For freedom in my mind, walked out of the cell. I know about the struggles and it's stressful. But even through the hiccups, you sneeze, God bless you. I try. I'ma keep trying, Lord, I'ma keep trying, Lord, I'ma keep trying, Lord, I'ma keep. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, I'ma keep trying. No matter the struggles we face, I'ma keep trying. No matter the ups and the downs, I'ma keep trying, Lord. I'ma keep trying, Lord. I'ma keep trying, Lord. I'ma keep trying, Lord. Been to more funerals and weddings and it's shameful. Had more evictions than houses, but Lord, I don't blame you. Cause I know that you gave me free will. You gave me free will. But I'm so tired every day of losing people close to me. I'm tired. That sometimes I lose my faith. Prosper, I'ma keep trying. No matter we face, I'ma keep trying. I'ma keep trying.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for everyone who stayed the whole night. I know it's been kind of a long night. I hope it was memorable and meaningful. And if you have any questions for me about anything that you saw or any of the artwork I heard people were interested in, I can connect you to some of the artists that are currently incarcerated, some of them. Just anything at all. Let me know, let my team know, and again, fill out the survey. For real. No, but seriously, thank you everyone. Have a safe night.